6, 11, 5, 4, 17, 13.
I knew my 60-second review of 28 Years Later was going to get reactions, but even I didn't expect this much division. My circle loved it. The comments mostly hated it. And that got me thinking, why? Was it the weight of expectation, the legacy of the 28 Days Later, or is this movie simply not what audience wanted from the franchise, or simply laughably bad, as some said? And Bowser Browser lovingly stated, I must have been dead from the neck up, which I thought was clever, but movies hit people differently. Some see beauty where others see flaws. Some fall in love with the film, while others feel nothing at all. And that's okay. In fact, that's brilliant, because it means the film said something. It reached someone, even if it's not everyone. Movies are personal. So let's start with why I liked. All the 28 movies have been a social commentary in some way, and I appreciate that. However, I felt like the 28 Weeks Later was a little bit more of a commercial cash grab than and straying from its predecessor, but this one felt different. This isn't a coming-of-age story about Spike, a boy standing at the crossroads of two very different worlds shaped by his parents. And Danny Boyle and Alex Garland return to this world after decades, not to thrill or shock, but to reflect. The 28 Years Later feels like a story about what happens when chaos stops, when civilization has adapted to the horror and settled into its consequences, and where the horror has evolved. It's bleak, yes, but it's oddly human. The UK in this film has become an island that the world sealed off and forgot. The rage virus, remember, this was never about zombies, mutated. They evolved, and so did the people left behind. The survivors live in a small enclosed societies that feel medieval, ruled by hard men who believe strength is survival. Spike's father is one of those men. To him, hunting the infected is a rite of passage, a way to prove worth, to live to tell the tale. But Spike's mother is the opposite. She's sick, and because medicine no longer exists, her disease fills her mind with confusion and rage, almost like she's infected herself. But in her heart, she's full of love and compassion, the very traits that Spike carries. The contrast between his parents set the entire emotional core of the movie. And then there's the doctor, played beautifully by Ralph Fiennes. He isn't mad, despite what the outside whispers. He's built a shrine not to death, but to life, to memory. He's accepted mortality and wants to leave meaning behind, a legacy of care and understanding in a world that forgot what those words mean. All of this was shot on iPhone 15 Pros with custom lenses, a choice that gives the film a raw, unsettling texture. It's gory, it's strange, it's deeply introspective, and that's clearly not going to please everybody. Maybe that's why people hated my review. Maybe they wanted another adrenaline rush, but this isn't that movie. It's about cycles and what gets passed down, what children inherit from broken parents and broken societies. It's about Spike choosing between toxic masculinity of his father and kindness and disease of his mother, and that's why it stayed with me, because it says something uncomfortable and honest about us. The cast is fantastic across the board. They all bring a depth to roles that could have been simple tropes, but they feel real, layered. And depending on how well it does in the theaters, 28 Years Later is meant to start a trilogy. In the next film, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple was shot back-to-back and is scheduled for release in January 2026. And I'm curious to see where they take this, because Spike's journey, it's not done. And if you've seen it, you know the ending. Clearly, this film has divided people. When I left the theater, I knew some will love it and some would hate it. But me, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it stuck with me. And I'll be there for the next chapter. So where do you fall? You love it or do you hate it? And as for Bowser Browser said, I may be dead from the neck up, which could be true, but regardless, I love their honest take. And I appreciate you going on this film journey with me. And as always, be real.
There are many kinds of death. And some are better than others.